Hi guys, here is my update as promised. Look, I apologise that these are turning more into kind of a blog about my brain and things as opposed to the surgery and stuff, but I've been assured that it's okay to just blab on about things. So the reality is you will either watch this or you won't watch this, and I completely respect your decision whether you do or not. I've got to stop saying I realised I say a lot. Have you guys noticed it? I've noticed it, especially when I watch this back to make sure I'm not saying anything stupid, which I do a lot, say stupid things. But anyway, trying not to say Since I last posted, I have had a visit from the period fairy. Yay! Sprinkling her love all over the life of women. So I've had ups and downs and roller coaster moments emotionally, as you can tend to get with when she visits, because she's such a lovely, lovely little fairy. But the good news is I'm now 85 kilos on the dot. So that's exciting, especially since I'm probably retaining fluid and all those wonderful things that happen when it is that time of month. I'm sorry if this is too much information for some people, but I'm always going to be honest. What can I say? Also, what's been at issue this week is, did you notice I didn't say Man, I wanted to say I'm not going to lie, I really, really want to say Ugh. Anywho, dumping. I've spoken about dumping a wee bit before, but I had a really moment of pride this week when I realised that I'm really learning how to deal with it a bit better. Now, most people I know, they get dumping if they eat chocolate or really, really sweet thing, lots of sugar, like lollies or whatever. If they sit down and ate a bag of M&Ms, they'd probably die, well, not die, but they'd dump. I don't tend to get dumping from things like chocolate. Sometimes I get it with sugar, but it's usually if I've had lactose with it. So my really big dumping trigger is usually lactose. And it can be really random. Like sometimes, the other day I was drinking a cup of coffee that I went to Starbucks, and I'd had this cup of coffee in this particular size like 100 times before. And then I'm sitting there and drinking it. I'm nearly finished and I'm like, oh my gosh, my nose is running. And I'm starting to yawn. Dumping was starting to happen because those are the signs that I'm starting to dump, as my nose starts running and I get really yawny. And I was like, no, don't take my coffee away from me. Anyway, then I had it again and I was fine. It just seems to be this random thing that every now and then, other things trigger it. So that was exciting. But I also learned that I'm getting better at dealing with it. Whereas in the past, I would just go and lie down because I thought that was the only way to fix it, which technically it is. But sometimes you're in places where you can't go and lie down. You've had something that you didn't mean to have, and dumping just happens. So I've learnt to kind of breathe through it a bit more. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's good to know that if I really, really, really concentrate hard on it, I can usually work through it. It's really uncomfortable, by the way, to do that. But sometimes it's your only option. I had an incident about 6 months ago when I was coming back from Winton from teaching, and I started dumping and I had to drive home, which this was probably really dangerous, I'm not going to lie. But I spent like the drive back to town literally like, I'm going to be okay, like on tenterhooks, thinking I could just pass out at any moment. You probably shouldn't do what I did, but I managed to get home without dying. And I didn't kill anybody. That was good. Yes. Wasn't the best thing, but at least I proved I could do it if I really, really, really had to. So dumping is still a thing occasionally. And occasionally it does still catch me off guard. There's been a couple of times recently where I've been perfectly fine and within half a sentence I've passed out. Usually it's because something has happened that, it kind of snuck up on me. So that was fun. Also, I want to share this with you because I've been, as you know, ups and downs. But I read this the other day and I've written it down. I hope I've got this right. Because I realised something about myself the other day, and it's not a negative thing, but it is a thing. And this is the quote I had. It's about potential. And it says, never let the idea of what it could be make you blind to the reality of what it really is? Are you in love with the potential of what it could be? And is that making you blind to what it really is? Now, the reason I'm throwing that out there is because I realized recently that I'm like that. You know, I've always, you wouldn't know this from my blogs, because usually I'm crying or gnashing my teeth or whining or whatever, but I'm actually kind of a positive person. I know that's hard to believe, but I'm usually a bit of a glass half full kind of chick. Always have been. I'm really good with other people, cheering them up. Maybe it's just me I have an issue with, but I am essentially a glass half full kind of chick. So when I meet people, I must confess, I try really hard to see the good in them, and I try really hard to see the potential in them. It's not because I'm judging them, it's just that I get a lot of pleasure out of seeing people become the best kind of version of themselves they can be. It's not about trying to change those people, but it's just exciting for me to see growth in people. I really wanted to say I'm so bad. Anyway, a couple of examples would be, you know, I had a friend that was having major financial problems. His issue really was that he just didn't know how to budget. He'd get a whole lot of money from work and just spend it, and he'd spend it so quickly because he had never sat down and went, you know, I need this much for power, I need this much for groceries, So I sat down with him and I wrote a budget out for him, and we put in contingency plans and all that kind of stuff, and he worked with that for a couple of months, and he's still using it, and he's in a much better position than he was. So I knew that he had a potential to not be in that situation, but he just didn't know how to get himself out of that situation. So I was able to come in and not save the day, but I was able to come in and share a bit of knowledge that I had to kind of get him on a better footing and on a better track. So it wasn't about changing him, it was just about helping him to get to a place where I knew he could be. So making him a better version of what he was when I met him. Not changing him. It's not about changing. I like to love people for who they are, and I really hope the people I know do that to me. A lot of them don't, because a lot of people just can't handle the jandle when it comes to me, because I am pretty hard work. But I like to be able to help where I can. I had another friend who is a diabetic and didn't really know how to cope with it, was having a bit of a moment, as we do when we're diagnosed with it. And I was able to sit down with her and work out a diet plan with her, how she was going to do things, you know, what exercises she could do that would help burn sugar, that kind of thing. And she's following it, and she's a lot happier simply because she has that information that she can use. So it's up to her whether she does that or not. It's not about me wanting to change her, but it's about I got pleasure out of being able to share something that wasn't a big deal for me. It was just a little bit of knowledge that I had that hopefully she could take away and be a better version of who she could be. You know, it's about potential. But my problem is that I guess I have been attracted to potential, and that's a real big problem, because sometimes I have fallen in love with what someone can be, and I've let that override what the reality of things are, and it's led to me to be in a position where I've been treated badly, or I've been treated unfairly, or I've been disrespected, or, you know, I've tolerated a lot of rubbish, a lot of really bad stuff from various people in my life, simply because I was so focused on what could have been. I hope this kind of makes sense. Like I said, it's not about changing people, it's about, I get excited about growth and seeing people grow, and we all grow, you know, we get older, we change our body shapes or whatever, but we also life experience, you know, we grow from those things. It's not about changing your whole personality and changing who you are, it's just about growing. And growing doesn't have to be big things, it can be just little things, you know. And I realized, especially in the stuff that's been making me really sad recently, that the reality of the situation was that person was always going to treat me badly. That person was always going to hurt me. That person was always going to use me, and was always going, was always going to be self-serving, because that person has no interest in fulfilling their potential. That person has no desire to grow and no desire to be anything other than what that person is now. I respect that because I have to, because I don't want that person to necessarily change. But I don't understand it. I don't understand why somebody wouldn't want to grow. So this has been a harsh realization, and I've realized that I've been hurt and upset over somebody that has made their own bed and is now living with that. This sounds way more emotional than it should be, but I just realized that with some people I put up with so much crap, and I do it simply because I see beyond the crap, which is really wrong, because I also have to protect myself, and I also have to not put up with the crap. So there you go. It was a revelation. I'm still ups and downs, but generally I think I'm on a better track because of it. It was a good light bulb moment for me. So yeah, that's where I am. I will keep doing what I've been doing in terms of my eating, which is working really well for me, and gonna up the weight training this week, because I'm so weak, honestly, terribly weak. So I need to do some muscle things, and that will help with the weight loss as well. So that's my goal for this week, and I will be here again next week. If you've got any questions about anything, or you want to ramble back, or you have something you don't agree with, I'm all ears. I will answer any questions, just whatever, okay? So have a good week. I will see you next week.